So here comes the most asked questions about how do these 33s perform and how do they rub, like if you have like with the regular suspension setup. So from the back, it does not rub whatsoever because the wheel doesn't turn. So we also have a mudguard on. So if you have your mudguard, it shouldn't be a problem. Like, so it's like if you see this vertically, the tire literally have to go up all the way here to get a rub, but your leaf spring will hit the bump stop like way before that. So back has no problem. So here comes the front. I think this is where most people have the problem with. So just to recap, we have the Ironman's 4x4 Foam Sail Pro 2.5 inch lift with the performance load spring. We have not installed the upper control arm that we bought from Ironman, the forged aluminum one, yet. So we use the stock one. So this front one, we don't have the steel bumper or winch installed yet. So there might be another 100 or 200 pound of weight less than, you know, the full setup.
So in general, when we're driving, if you're doing regular on-the-road driving, so street driving, anything like that, the only time that we're experiencing any rub, and to be honest, is only happening on this particular left wheel. When you're in a full turn going into like an uneven pavement or over a speed bump, then you're gonna feel it hit the bottom of just this plastic here. We've only had it happen a few times, but it's literally as a pavement changes, so like that extra inch or two of difference where it's lifting one side up. So we're only experiencing a rub on the left side when we're doing really deep left turns into uneven pavements.
So in terms of off-road driving, we only had a few rubbing, like when we were going down the hill and making a very sharp turn while braking. So the kind of weight just loaded to the front. So it's still the same spot where, you know, when you turn either left or right, the tire kind of rubs on this little fender liner here. So other than that, we drove also like 50 to 60 miles on the gravel road with some potholes, and we didn't hear anything. So pretty much when you're going straight, there's no issue whatsoever. But just, you know, when you at the most rubbing happen is that when you're at lower speed and with almost full turns, you will hear some kind of rubbing when the terrain's uneven. And at low speed, when people say like, oh, rock crawling at full turns, you might have problems. But we so far have not experienced anything like that.
Keep in mind, we do have a, what one was it?
Yeah, so we have the 2.5 inch lift.
Which honestly makes all the difference. I think if we had a 3-inch lift, we wouldn't hear any rubbing whatsoever. That would probably all the clearance you would ever need to not hear a single bit of rubbing, as long as you remove your mud flaps from the front wheels.
So yeah, I met a guy at the Toyota dealership we bought the truck from. He has done a lot of like lift for the customers, and I talked to him. He told me that for the wheel setup, if you don't want like the cap mount chop, you probably want to go with a zero offset, either like 17 by 8.5 or 16 by 8, which we went with a 16 by 8 because I like the bigger tire look feeling of it. But again, you know, I think 17, either 17 or 16 should work. And for the tires, I know some of the mud terrain tires, if you go with I know the Milestar, Patagonia mud terrain, I know they are kind of a real 33 inch, so tire when it's on a load is probably a little taller than KO2 or Wild Peak. So, you know, you need to keep that in mind. And he recommended, say, if you have like something like Toy Tech 3-inch lift, so that little half-inch more lift will give you a lot more clearance. So, you know, if you go with a -20 offset on the wheels or even stock wheels, I mean, if you have -20 offset, you're gonna probably have the cap mount chop, because when a wheel turns in, it kind of this part will go almost into that piece of metal right there. So that's where if you go with negative. But then if you do, some people say on Tacoma World forum, they said they can do the stock wheel with a 33 setup, but I talked to the guy. He told me that it's almost impossible because first of all, we have barely an inch of clearance right here. If you have those positive, like, I don't know, like 50 or, I mean, probably not that dramatic for the stock wheel, but they're definitely positive offset wheels. It's gonna probably rub the upper control arm. It's not gonna fit. So the best luck is following the zero offset with a, you know, something like BF Goodrich, a little smaller 33s. And to be honest, I can't tell the difference. Like, it's already much bigger than the stock one, about 2 inch taller in the height. So we're very happy with it. So far they don't rub, and they don't rub as bad as we thought. And it kind of doesn't bother us to even do the hit gun trimming because
it's not even nearly as much as people want to warn about. I think the main problem is people aren't properly lifting for their clearance, and then they're also choosing an offset, which is just asking for more problems to compensate for.
Yeah, but again, if we put a winch or a steel bumper on, we might experience a little more rubbing. But again, these trucks, what I heard is also they're not super consistent. So some trucks might come with like just 0.3 inch more or less compared to like other trucks. So if you got unlucky with a little, you know, the setup kind of a little low, then that might create some issue. So maybe one day after the install of the bumper, we'll get you guys updated. So, yep.